Hello everybody, my name is Cameron Earl and today I am here with another video today. So, a different kind of ranking video today. So, I have unboxed a total of 6 Jazzwares Select 6 articulated Pokemon action figures. And I still don't have Charizard, Moltres, Samurott. Who's the third one I don't have? Typhlosion. Charizard, Typhlosion, Samurott, and now I can't remember the other one. Typhlosion, Moltres, Samurott, Charizard. There we go. Those are the 4 I don't have. I was watching a video, though, yesterday, of the people who I think work on the figures, reviewing the next ones for people who have their Pokemon collections. And at the end of the video, 2 silhouettes were shown of a Mewtwo Select 6 figure and a Suicune Select 6 figure. And that means that 12 figures have been revealed so far. Technically 12. I mean, Mewtwo and Suicune haven't been revealed completely. But still, 12 figures. So being that I have half, I figured I'd do a halfway point ranking to just kind of, because I've been wanting to do this. I never really thought about which of these figures is my favorite, but I definitely know which ones are my least favorites and which ones are my favorites. Maybe not the favorites, because only one of these figures that I think is bad, mid. Not a bad figure, just a mid figure. And of course, this is going to go from my least favorite to my favorite. And that'll be it. And it pains me to put this Pokemon so far right at the bottom because I love this Pokemon. This is this is probably my 6th favorite Pokemon. Definitely in the top 10 of my Pokemon, but it's not my favorite. But it's one of them, and that's why it pains me to put this one at the bottom of my list, and that is Lucario. So the problem with Lucario is how limited it is. It is, at least my figure is a lot limited, is very limited on articulation. So obviously you can move the feet, but the legs don't really, they don't move like I want them to. And the arms have very limited rotation. So does, you think that this joint, why does he bend back so far, but he doesn't bend forward at all? It's just, I mean, obviously the head, the tail itself can move. That's pretty cool. And overall, I mean, it's a solid figure. Any kid younger than me is going to have a lot of fun with this. I mean, I don't play with my figures. I put them on the shelf and then look at them. But I'm judging them based on, how good of a figure they actually are. And Lucario is just at the bottom of this list. It's by far the smallest figure. Well, maybe there's one that's, there's maybe one that's smaller. I don't even think it's smaller. But, no matter what the proportions of these figures compared to the others, they're all going to be $20. But, my video, the thumbnail for my Lucario unboxing is literally its head coming off. So, yeah, there was that. I did say, after the video, I did go down and say, oh, Mom, we have to return it. And then she kind of just popped the head back on. I'm like, oh, well, how'd you figure that one? But yeah, it's a good figure, but it's just meh to me. Shelf presence is good, because Lucario always looks cool, but as an actual figure that a kid could play with, they'll definitely have fun with it. But I don't think they'd have fun with it as much as they would with these other 5. And that brings us right into our 5th spot, and that is going to be the farthest figure away from me, which is Zapdos. Here, I'm gonna move. I got all the figures on the table here, and it's a pretty small table. I'm gonna move the camera back a bit. There we go, that's better. Moltres. Moltres is the next figure. So yeah. Moltres wasn't one that I was immediately after when I saw it. Like, excuse me. It is my favorite of the legendary birds. Not as figures, but it is my favorite of the legendary birds, like, in-game. It's my least favorite of the Galarian birds. It just, orange just isn't my color, I guess. Neither is yellow, actually. I think yellow is probably the ugliest color, probably an unpopular opinion. But, yeah, nothing wrong. This is a really good figure. But much like Lucario, this thing's limited on articulation, if not more limited. I mean, obviously, its head, it has a lot of movement in the head for the way its head is positioned. Like, a ton of movement. Its wings, being that it's the smallest wingspan, it's the only one of the legendary birds that only have one joint on its wings. And, of course, you got the normal, you got the claws. The talons on this are great, though. But yeah, other than that, it's just kind of, like, limited. But it's a very cool looking figure. Zapdos will never not be cool. When you picture an electric bird, this is probably what you picture. You picture, like, the fur going everywhere and stuff. And, of course, this is the one with the best placement of the hole in the base. It's not like on the very back of Lucario here like it is on, like, Greninja and Dragapult and Rayquaza. And Articuno's is pretty hidden too, so you're not going to see no out-of-place hole that just kind of, like, makes the figure look kind of bad if you're nitpicky about that kind of stuff like I am. But, yeah. Zapdos, I like it a lot more. I like this figure a lot more than Lucario. This figure, from 6th to 5th, very high jump. And that is going to bring me to my next figure, which these next two are kind of tied, but I think I've decided on one that, that's going to be 4th place, and that is Articuno. So my biggest problem with Articuno is, I mean, like, it's just kind of ugly. Like, Zapdos and Moltres, I think their wings kind of blend together better. But the reason why Articuno is 4th is just because I like the figure, I like the look of the figure. And, of course, this is obviously, like, a figure a lot of people can have fun with. The articulation is amazing, especially the tail. But that's kind of why, now that I didn't really mess with these just to, like, try the articulation. Now I think about it, think that my 3rd place figure, I might like a little. I might like Articuno a little bit more. I think I'm gonna put these guys tied for 3rd and 4th, Dragapult and Articuno. So Dragapult is amazing looking figure. He's also huge figure. Now obviously Articuno's bigger, but Dragapult's like more bulky. You can tell all the weight is in his head. See, the problem I have with Dragapult is that he is the most limited on articulation. I just like him more than the Lucario. I just like all these more than the Lucario figure. I don't know why. So the biggest problem with Dragapult's articulation is, like, the head. Like, you can't turn the head much. And, like, you can go up and down a lot, obviously. Also, the legs are just kind of really bad. But I do love the fact that the tail is on a bendy thing. And Articuno's kind of just cool. It's just that, I think mine got a little, the paint job on mine's a little rough around the edges. And the feet on the talons on Articuno are very cheaply made. They kind of look like they're ready to fall apart at any moment. But yeah, Articuno's tail, though, is better than Dragapult's, in my opinion. I think it's longer, too. Nah, their tails might be the same length. But, obviously, I think Dragapult's a nice 4th place spot, because you could do so much more with the Articuno figure. But if I had to go over looks of the figure, Dragapult definitely wins. So this one's got the articulation, this one's got the looks, so they're tied for 3rd and 4th. And I don't really think I can pick between the two. But now gets to my 2nd place spot, and that is what I think is the most overrated Pokemon in the world, and that is Greninja. Yeah, I said it, fight me. The most overrated Pokemon. Yep. There it is. Overrated. And that's like my biggest problem with Greninja, is the fact that it is an overrated Pokemon. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's a ninja frog. That's really cool, but like, it's kind of like a rehash of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You take like an amphibian and you turn it into a ninja. However, this is the only figure that I have that come with accessories. I know Samurott comes with the sword accessory. And the thing is, when I was watching reviews of all these figures to figure out which one I wanted, Greninja was not the popular figure. I feel like it was I feel like a lot of the people didn't like the Greninja figure as much. But I actually really like the articulation on Greninja. Now here's my problem with the figure. And this is a very big pet peeve. And ever since I realized it, I can't unrealize it. And that's the fact that the arms are backwards. So, you see how the white dot's on this side? Well, this one bends this way, and this one bends this way. And they don't have it on the other side, so the arms are backwards. Unless all the figures are meant to be like that. In which, not. These shurikens are very nice. For just being held in with these little pegs here. They do stay in quite nicely. And the best part about this figure is honestly just the look of it. Like, it's a good looking figure. It's nice. It's bulky. You can do a lot with its rotation. The only other problem I really have with this figure is that it can't stand on its own. But unless you like put it in some weird all fours frog pose. But probably the best aspect of this figure is the fact that they managed to make even the tongue articulate. I think making the tongue articulate is amazing because like you could position that in so many ways. But yeah, it's just like a really cool looking figure. And on my shelf, I posed it where it was battling Lucario, and like the poses I have them all in on my shelf will be in the thumbnail, so you can see. But yeah, Greninja takes the 2nd place spot. And for anyone who knows me watching this video, probably to no one's surprise, the Rayquaza figure is my number 1. This is probably the best looking figure. It's Rayquaza single-handedly got me into Pokemon. Like, I seen Rayquaza as that one McDonald's toy when I think it was for the Hoopa movie, when the Hoopa movie came out, and I was just immediately hooked on this Pokemon, and that was the first time I ever wanted to do anything with Pokemon, was when I found out about Rayquaza's existence. Like, a giant green dragon who literally makes a living out of going up into the ozone and just destroying asteroids, protecting Earth, and then sometimes Rayquaza or Groudon and Kyogre get a little moody, start fighting like siblings, and then here's the older brother that comes down and puts them to bed. And my biggest problem with this figure is, and I've seen this in a lot of reviews, it doesn't stay on the base. I've had it on its base, and the plastic hole actually bent. Now, it's usually it's actually always a hexagon shaped hole. Well, now it's like a circle because the weight of it just like it moved the plastic out of place. So I have to prop him up with his tail. So there's not much posability I could get out of that. So I have this pose for it. I wish I could have it not with his tail down. I want to have it like curled up in the air, but you know how it is. But other than that, I wish there was jaw movement, but there's so much articulation. Like, you can move the wrists, the arms, the whole body. Every single segment is a swivel joint. The head has some really good rotation. There is a lot you could do with this figure. Aside from Articuno and Greninja, out of the 6 figures I have, Rayquaza is probably the most posable. He's not the most posable. That's probably either a Greninja or Articuno. But nothing was going to stop Rayquaza from being my number 1. Because Rayquaza will always be number 1. Here's hoping for a Garchomp figure. I want a Garchomp figure. Second favorite Pokemon. Garchomp and Rayquaza kind of actually fight for my favorite Pokemon. But, yeah. That's pretty much that. So, yeah, as it currently stands, from 6th place to 1st place goes Lucario, Zapdos, Dragapult, Articuno, Greninja, and Rayquaza. There, I made my choice. I like Articuno more than Dragapult. But when it comes to general... Now, how I would rank these Pokemon if I act... like, not figure-wise, but how much I like the Pokemon in general. Last place, probably Articuno. I don't have any attachment to the legendary birds. I wasn't alive until Gen 4 came out the year I was born, 2006. So, yeah. Yeah, Articuno, Greninja. I think Greninja is massively overrated. Zapdos, Lucario, Dragapult, and Rayquaza is my favorite. I gotta do like a top 10, top 20 Pokemon. I could do my top 5. Top 5. Oh God, let me think about it. God, there's so many in there. I'd rather do a top 10. I would have to write that down though. In no particular order, my top 10 are Rayquaza, Zacian, Koraidon, Garchomp, Salamence, Ninetales, Umbreon, Lucario, Dragapult, Gyarados. It's probably my top 10 right there. All those Pokemon, love them. Great Pokemon. But yeah, thank you everybody so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Hopefully the next unboxing will be a Charizard. I want the Charizard.